In this video, I'm going to explain how to complete the lab portion of the course. So we are in the Canvas site. We're going to go to Modules. And remember, your lab kit came with the lab manual. So that is what I recommend that you use the physical copy. However, you can use whatever copy or file works best for you. The lab manual is also found here under the Welcome Start Here module or tab. I'm going to scroll down to the first lesson. And remember, these are called pages, these little check marks. These are going to have resources, and it's very self-explanatory. So these are going to be the ones that are in the lecture Nearpods, but I want to talk about lab. So I'll also have some tips. So purchase your lab kit for Lab 1, read Lab 1 exercise that's in the lab manual, and I also include the video links here, so that's a little bit easier than having to click or type out the links. So that's the lab manual that you'll be using for this semester was created by instructors here at ICC. It's tailored to what we're learning in lecture and to what's present in your lab kit. You may notice a slight difference in the one you see here on the screen and what you have in front of you. It says Lab Study Guide for Lab Quiz. These used to be called lesson quizzes, but now they're just called lab quizzes. These are the topics 1 through 6 for Lab 1 that you should study before taking the lab quiz. The yellow boxes, as seen here, will provide information about what you need for the lab photos. Lab photos are required as part of the lab, and they are going to be uploaded into one document onto the Canvas site. If the lab photos are not submitted, then the lab quiz score is going to be reduced to 0. In other words, you have to turn in the lab photos to get credit for the lab quiz. At the beginning of each lab, you will see one of these yellow boxes that contains all of the information for the lab photos. You may also see a box that has what you need for each lab. For example, Lab 1 requires the lab kit for inventory purposes. Please note that it may be present in your lab manual that it is going to include lecture and lab questions on the lab quiz. This has been changed moving forward from summer 26. In other words, you only have to know the lab information for the lab quiz. We will also list what you need to complete the lab. So the first one, you just need the lab kit, which you should have purchased from the ICC bookstore. Then I have a short list of instructions, which are pretty much going to be the same for every lab. So this is the little reminder. You need to complete the activity, that is the lab manual. You need to do the virtual lab, that is a separate assignment from the lab photos. So each lab requires lab photos and the virtual lab. Don't take pictures of the virtual lab and just upload them. That is not what the lab photos are. You should read all of the pages and complete them. However, it should be noted, you are not submitting every single page. I don't want to read, 20 pages. I just want the ones that have the yellow boxes for the lab photos. You should complete everything, however, because you may see those on the quiz. Ask me if you have any questions and make sure you study those questions before you take the quiz. So this is going to walk you through how to complete the lab. So I'm going to do the short version. This is a lot of attendance, guidelines, policies, gradings, etc. We've actually covered a lot of this when I talked about the syllabus. So I'm going to scroll down. Again, this is very similar to what you saw in the syllabus, so I'm going to keep scrolling. So the first thing, and again, you should read all of this, that you're going to come to that I want to talk about is this page. So this is going to be the first lab photo. And how do you know it's a lab photo? Well, it's got a yellow box that says Photo 1, and it has the requirements. I need your name and the date. The easiest way to do this, I'm going to make this a little smaller so you can see it all on one page. The easiest way to do this is to just type or write your name right here. So if you're using the physical lab, then you can just handwrite your name. And if you prefer the digital version, then you can type in your name and the answers. So I need to know the name and the dates that it's you. and then you're going to answer these questions. So the answers to these questions are on the previous pages. So basically, you're going to read through all that, answer the questions. You are graded for accuracy, so make sure that you're confident in your answers. If you do miss something, I will write in the correct answer in the little comment section of grades. But the more you get right, the more points you're going to get. Each photo is 1 point, and I deduct 0.1 for each incorrect answer. Your photos and your answers need to be legible. So if you're writing, I need to read your handwriting. And if you're taking photos of a screenshot, then I need to be able to see the words clearly. So it can't be blurry or backwards. So here's an example. It says, how will you show that you are attending this lab? Well, you're going to submit these lab photos. So then you're going to answer the rest of the questions 1 through 9. Either take a screenshot or just a photograph, and then you're going to save that wherever you want to save it so that you can upload all 4 a little later. Then we ask you to do your lab kit inventory. If something is missing, there'll be a link on Canvas that you should click and then fill it out, because if something's missing, we need to get it to you as soon as possible so you can complete the lab. So here's the inventory checklist. Again, you're going to put your name and the date. You're going to check if it's present or not present. So even if it's missing, fill out this and fill out that form on Canvas, which I'll show you when we get back to Canvas. So check all the boxes. And this is our second photo. It says photo 2, a yellow box. And this one requires a selfie. So I just need a selfie with this piece of paper and your lab kit opened. So you need to have purchased the lab kit. I need to see it. If it requires you to take more than 1 photo to get all of the things I need in, that's fine. More than 1 photos is better than not having enough. Remember, if you are missing a selfie, then you get 0 points for that particular photo. And I need to be able to see your face in that selfie. So this one requires the checklist, your face, and the lab kit. So now we get to the safety information. So you're going to click on this link, watch the video, and again, that link is also on Canvas, and then you're going to complete the questions by answering true or false. What you're going to notice is this is not a photo. So this is for your own knowledge before you take the quiz, but I don't need a photo of this particular page. So let's keep scrolling. The next photo I need is page 11, which are the safety rules. So you're going to initial each of these 1 through 10, sign it, date it, put in your ID number if you know it. If not, don't stress about that. And again, you're going to upload this one. This one does not require a selfie, so just a piece of paper filled in. Then we get into the scientific method. Again, you're going to read all of this information. Hopefully I'm not scrolling too fast. And let's see if we have another photo. We do. It's our last photo. So you're going to answer questions 23 through 31 using the previous pages. You're going to watch this video. Again, you can click on this or the link is on Canvas in that page I showed you. And you're going to submit this one also. So that's the last of our photos. So all 4 photos, you're going to merge into one document. It has to be a PDF, which I'll show you where that is in a moment. And then you're going to put that on Canvas. As we scroll through, we've got a little bit more information, but no more photos. So again, still do it. Even if you don't have to turn it in, you still need to complete all the parts because you may see these on a quiz. So at the very end, you're going to see a checklist. So a reminder, did you submit the photos? Now go and do the virtual lab, which I'll show you in a moment. Study for the quiz and take the quiz. If there's something coming up that I want to make sure that you know ahead of time, I'll put a little note. So the next lab requires you to have some food. You just need 1 food from each category. So whatever you have at home. So you've got 1 mushroom at home and 1 banana and 1 grape, you're good to go. If you don't have any of these from the categories, then you may need to go purchase them. But we tried to pick things that you should have available at your house. All right, so you successfully completed the lab activity located in the lab manual. Now it's time to get some points for those photos. So you're going to click where it says Lab Photos. And then you're going to basically follow the instructions. So I give you a little, some tips that you can click Start Assignment. And I show you the rubric also. That's exactly what I use to grade these. And then here's where you're going to submit your assignment. So you're going to add your file. So I'm going to add a file. And you can pick whatever you want. I'm just going to pick something I've got pulled up in my, you would pick something that's this photo, so wherever you have them. And then submit. And then I will be able to grade those and provide some feedback. If you're not sure if you did it right, or if you submitted the wrong photos, just click on New Attempt and you can upload a new document. Okay, a couple things to note. Here is that link. If you're missing something in your lab kit, you're going to click on this and then let me know what you're missing. The sooner you do that, the better, because we can get you the supplies. If everything is present when you did the lab kit inventory, then you don't need to worry about this. So once your photos are submitted, then you're going to do the virtual lab. So that's a separate assignment, separate from the lab photos. So you would click virtual lab. It's going to take you to Connect. And you're going to click on the appropriate virtual lab. I'm actually showing you at the end of the semester, but you're going to click on the correct one. Click Begin, which for you guys would be Virtual Lab 1. And then it will give you some information, so make sure you read all of those. And then you're just going to click Laboratory Simulation and click through until it's all complete. You have unlimited attempts of this before the due date, and there were 3 points apiece. And then once your lab is completed, then you are going to take the quiz. Keep in mind that you may need to buy some extra supplies. Again, I'll give you some announcements and some reminders before that's due. And keep in mind, this is a lab science course. So if you do not complete the lab, you will start to lose points for those lesson quizzes.